right, welcome back, everybody. I'm playing. I got a new gadget over here. It's all working. And welcome
Uh-oh.
back to the Florida West Coast Fishing Report with Captain George.
I got a new gadget over here.
It's all working. And welcome back to the fall.
There we go. I got it.
Was it you?
I think that was me, yes.
Okay. I was going to say, I thought I turned it down. All right. So we're back on. We're all excited because the day after tomorrow, George, we're going to be at ICAST.
Yep, ICAST, man. I can't wait.
Oh, man. I tell you, when you go to ICAST, it's like
Kid and candy store.
Oh, it is, man, because that's where the cream of the crop is. That's all the newest products. Everything that you're going to be seeing coming out this fall is going to be there. You're going to see a lot of new companies there, people who are just getting started in the business.
Yep. And you know, it's nice too is you get to see some old faces maybe that you haven't seen in a while. You know, you get to see people you haven't seen in a bit.
So I'm excited about it. You know, it's, and like you say, it's every time I go, I always find 5 or 6 companies that are new. I mean, really new. I mean, some of them, I look at them, I said, nah, I'm not even going to.
That's not going to work. Yeah.
No, that's going to work. This guy's just, there was a guy there about 3-4 years ago, I think the year before COVID, came all the way down from New Jersey. And he had, in fact, I've got it here somewhere. It was a lure that had an opening, and he gave you a small bottle of Menhaden oil that you squeezed inside the lure. And, you know, they used it for striped fishing and all that up north. Well, it was kind of a good idea, but number one, it was like $20.
Messy.
And I said, you know, but he gave me one. I used it because every time I looked at it, I said, man, I don't want Menhaden oil all over my boat, you know?
Right. Oh, yeah, you go to cast that thing, it's flinging Menhaden oil all over the place.
And then you got to clean it out because if you leave it somewhere, the roaches are going to get to you. You know?
Yeah, there's some, you know, there's it's a nice thing to see, a lot of new things coming out, but there is, you know, sometimes it's just somebody that might have something that works good in just their little area or their little niche, and it's not really for high production type of stuff.
And the other thing that you find at a place like this is where somebody has invented something, an inventor, and he's there to try to get somebody that wants to buy the patent from him and go out and build it on his own, you know, or help them invest money.
Right.
And stuff is, you know, some people,
it works.
It works.
Yeah, it could work. Because you got so many big major players that are there that if they see a product they think that could make some money, you might get somebody, Shimano, Akuma, you might get somebody that grabs them and says, hey, we'll buy your patent.
Yeah. I mean, you never know. I see this I saw this at IBEC a couple of years back.
Right.
I saw some great products. Then I saw some that I told this one guy was the nicest guy in the world. He had this, it wasn't LED light. It was a filament light where the light ran through a filament.
Right.
It says it will last you forever because nothing to burn out or whatever. But the problem is, by the time I got through walking the show that day, there was 2 other people that had something like what he had.
Right.
Exactly the same, but the same idea. And actually one of them was it looked, and to me, it was going to work a lot better than his. But you know, it's good that we have entrepreneurs that are willing to go out and show this, and I'm willing to learn all the time. Oh, and look who we got. We got a Capitan. Captain Catfish is on the line.
Oh, I don't see him on mine. I see Ken, Jessica, Jim, Scotty Rowe.
Oh, you haven't seen Rolando Alonso yet?
No, let me refresh mine and we'll see what comes up.
Right into Scotty. Captain Gatofish. Ted Webb used to say.
No, he's not showing up on mine. That's just weird.
Let me tell you, if there's ever, if there's ever a catfish tournament, I want Rolando on the boat with me. That's guaranteed catfish. Guaranteed. I'm telling you. He's the greatest catcher. Let's see what he says.
Here he is. He said he didn't catch any catfish today because he didn't go.
Well, you see? Because if not, believe me, he would have caught catfish. He's the greatest catfish killer in Tampa Bay.
Well, I've seen him catch other fish by accident, though. I have.
Really? Oh, Rolando, we have a good time with you.
You know,
Jesus, somebody keeps trying to call me.
You got to put that on airplane mode.
Yeah, what it
But-
is, it's going through my computer. That's what's going on.
Huh. Well, that's like, look at the boat show. I mean, you know, Luke with the wide tangle. That was something he developed in his own, house, and he called me and we met him at the boat show. I mean, so there's a perfect example of just a guy that comes up with an idea, and that's how it gets started.
I mean, the other guy is Eric from
Oh, yeah.
SOS Banner. I mean, he makes those shades for the
Yep.
side of the boat or the back of the boat. And same thing. He was at home one day, started thinking about, you know what? Every time we're somewhere, like
Right.
let's say you're at Beer Camp Beach and the sun's coming from an angle from the side of the boat, the ones on the top doesn't do you any good. So he came up with this idea.
Well, let's go even a real big step. Look at Power Pole. That started in a garage.
Oh yeah. And if
You
you
know?
ever saw the first one, oh my God. When John showed up at Tia Mahoney's open house, Tia used to have one Saturday a year, a big fish fry. And I would
Yeah.
Dave Marquette and a lot of the captains would go there.
I remember.
We all donated fish. And he shows up with this old boat and the prototype Power Pole. And everybody looked at him and said, "You nuts." And look at him now.
Yeah.
It's terrific, you know?
Yep. He got on that bass circuit, and then that really blew him up.
And Jim Pace says a fish siesta key last week caught some large trout and snook, Miralore MR17, Z-Man Molotron, 4.5 inch. All right.
Nice.
Good. And I tell you, the fishing has been terrific. I mean, I was on the water 4 days straight last week. It wore me out. I don't like to do that
Yeah.
in a row.
Yeah.
But every day we went, it was, well, I got to admit, I didn't go for snook. You know what I'm saying? God, I'm just, the people that I took are just saying, Sergio, we can't keep them, we can't eat them, and we always catch,
Right.
let's try something different. So they all wanted to go for trout, for mackerel, for mango snapper. We caught flounder. I mean, we got a lot of cobia. We actually caught 3 cobias last week. Now,
Yeah.
nothing gigantic, but it was amazing to catch 3 cobias in a week. And then I might go another month and a half, 2 months, and don't even see one,
Yep. And that one area, we caught 3 small ones, and I mean small. They were like 20 to 23 inch. We caught 3 small ones in one day. And what was funny was the father with an 8-year-old son said, "I've never caught a cobia." And like the next fish we caught on a little PNV was a small, like 20-inch cobia. I said, well, why don't you say you never caught a 40-inch cobia next?
Yeah. And maybe Google was listening in. Because you
Right?
ever notice that about your phone?
Oh, it's terrible.
I mean, you
can shut it
sometimes you're
off.
just talking about something. All of
Yeah.
a sudden it starts popping up.
Yep. You could shut that off, because I have, and it works for a while, but then it somehow magically turns itself back on. You could be talking about whatever. One day I was talking about with a friend of mine, he needed some concrete work done to his driveway. And then that night in my Facebook feed, the commercials on the side was for concrete work.
Wow.
It's
Yeah,
that
I know.
bad.
It's crazy.
And you'll get emails too, like for advertisements for that.
Yeah, I mean, or if you do a search on something, man, for
Oh,
the
forget
next
it.
2 weeks, it keeps
Yeah.
showing up.
I just don't like that it listens to you and then ads show up for what
It's
you were.
got to be listening to you.
Oh,
Because,
it is. And you can go on the settings and shut that off, but it doesn't stay shut off. I don't know why.
well, I
and
don't know why.
and then like Apple, the Fire TV box,
Huh?
there was no on-off switch on it, because I like to shut stuff like that off so it can't listen to you. Like, why do I need something listening to me all the time? I Googled it, and there is no shut off button on it. And yeah, it can listen.
It's crazy. And I tell you, it looks like everybody was on the water last week because your report, my report, and we got
Oh, yeah.
6 other reports. So we got 8 reports this week, which is great.
And I agree with you. The bite was really good last week, and I did a little of both. I did the deeper water fishing because I had clients that wanted, like you, they wanted stuff to eat. So we did mangrove snapper and trout and deeper water. And then I also hit the flats, but it worked out good because the water's cooler in that deeper water, and the bite was really good. I mean, the one day it was like, and you had the same thing because we talked about it. As soon as you got a bait in the water, they were getting bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we had that. Day, 2 of the days, it was just unbelievable how good.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I think it was the last day. The tide was not that good,
Right.
and it affected the bite. Early in the morning it was good, then it kind of died down some. But we had 2 days there that, I mean,
Phenomenal.
I mean, it was phenomenal. And
Yeah.
the bait, I mean, you know, you and I just, you were there. I pulled up through the net twice, bait well full. My bait
Oh, yeah.
well full. I had a small bucket full of chummers.
Well, you remember when I threw my net that second time, I had to dump half that bait back in the water because it was just too much. It was a good.
It grows overnight.
Yeah, it was a good problem to have. I'll tell you that. So there was now you didn't fish Monday. I fished in the beginning of the week. You fished middle and the end of the week.
I fished Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and
Right.
Friday.
And so there was, in my opinion, there was 3 really good days in a row that the bite was, just off the hook. It was just unbelievable.
Tuesday and Wednesday were phenomenal for me, and then Thursday started to slow down a little.
Yeah.
Friday was a slower day.
My Tuesday was unbelievable, and matter of fact, when we got out to the first spot, as soon as I casted, it got hit, and then I actually had 5 people on the boat, which I don't really like to have that many, but it was a family that was visiting, and that was the amount of people they had. So I said, yeah, I'll take it. Well, what was funny was the mother of the group was seeing how fast the action was, and she was enjoying it so much. She turned into the first mate on the boat. She was grabbing the net, getting the phone for the pictures. I mean, here's the D hooker. I mean, every time I turned around, she was handing me something. I didn't have to reach for anything. And I was like, you got to fish. I said, I appreciate it, but you got to fish. She did that for about an hour. I mean, she was just enjoying it. And then finally we got her on it. And then what was funny was by the end of the trip, the daughter caught the most fish. She caught all the nice sized, big, larger mangrove snappers, and the mother ended up catching the biggest snook of the day. So the girls kicked the 3 boys' butts, and they were rubbing it in.
And I tell you, the trout was pretty good size, and the mackerel were real big.
Yeah,
I told you we hooked one kingfish because he came flying out of the water, and he was a big kingfish. And I mean, it wasn't no tarpon because this thing was round, silver, slick, and he went in like straight up. Now he didn't shake his head, didn't open his mouth.
right.
It was like a rocket shooting about 6 feet up in the air and came right back down.
Well, I'll tell you what, we were fishing out for mackerel on Monday, and we were getting nice mackerel to about 24, 25 inches. I mean, they were running big this year. And then all of a sudden, there it was. I mean, this thing just started just screaming, and it took out so much line. I was ready to actually start the big motor up, and I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking, man, is this a king? Because it's not a mackerel, not for that kind of run. And
unfortunately, as the shark wouldn't have jumped out and looked like silver up in the air.
Yeah, right. And this thing, a shark would have slowed down for me, with the amount. I mean, it just kept going, and then the hook pulled, and that was terrible.
And he actually bent the hook.
What's that?
He bent the hook.
Yeah, mine pulled, it bent a little bit, not too bad. So it must have been just barely hooked. But when the guy was reeling back in after it popped off, he was like, oh my God. He just kept reeling and reeling. He thought it was never going to get back in. And we thought it broke, but it didn't. But so when you told me your story, I was like, I guarantee it was the king. I don't doubt that.
Well, they come into the bay and they hang out.
Yeah.
Not a lot of them, but a few.
No, but look at the George Jonah that time with that, what was it, like 45 pounder?
Right there.
Yep.
Inside Tampa Bay.
Yep.
Picnic Island. So they do come in. And if you go way back in the 50s, they used to catch a lot of kingfish around Pinellas Point in that area.
Yeah. You know where else too? Port Manatee.
Mm-hmm. That's
Port Manatee.
Rocky Bottom.
Quite a few of the King of the Beaches first place was out of Port Manatee because, every time there's King of the Beach, 80% of the time it's horrible weather, super windy. So then, these guys fish inside the bay, and there's been tournaments won right there out at Port Manatee. That and by the big flag out there by Fort DeSoto.
Right. Well, let's see. Let's get.
We better run.
Let's start at the bottom of the list today. Let's start with Bucky.
All right.
Good afternoon, Captain Bucky Goldman, Bag and Fishing Charters, Tampa, Florida, FishingGuide.com. So, finished up my kids' camp from last week. Had a bunch of stuff to do, and I got out yesterday, and today was my new start of the new kids' camp. There's a lot of bait on the flats. It's real little. There has been some bigger bait at the bridge, but the current's been pretty steady coming in, so it's been really hard to get it. You got to hit it just right. Yesterday was kind of a grind. We tried to catch some triple tail, then didn't have any luck, and then we switched gears and got and I actually got some really nice bait yesterday, but got into a bunch of spots and everything was starting to die. Water temps actually were up in the mid to high 80s. Today they were down in about 85, 86, and they got up a little higher. So it was a little better. Didn't have any problems with the bait dying today. Had a lot of little baits, but everything seemed to be eating that. We ended up getting 9 reds to fish today for the kids. Bunch of snook. Got some stingrays, catfish, and jack. One kid also caught a trout, so he got a grand slam. So it's been good. It's just a little tricky out there. You really got to pound some areas and move down. You find some fish on a shoreline. Don't just hit one spot that's good. Just keep working down that shoreline, because, you know, that's been the kind of the key to my success lately, is finding an area where there's fish and not just hitting one little section that's good, just kind of bouncing down. We actually had some incoming tide all morning, so we had some higher water and the moving water, and the fish were much more cooperative this morning. So I'm looking forward. I got the next 2 days, and then I'll be off and going on a cruise this weekend, so I won't have a report for, well, I might be able to get a report in, but I might be out of town, so might not get one for me for next week. But all right, you guys stay out there, stay safe. Oh, I saw something that was rather disappointing today. I went and took the kids and tried to catch some black drum, and there's a guy out there in an aluminum boat, and he's there, got 4 guys standing, and they're snagging drum with jigs. I mean, for shame. That's all I can say. That's the saddest thing. It's just sad, because that's what you got to rely on, is trying to snag fish.
That's crazy.
Oh, that's a shame.
I wish the FWC shows up and gets that guy, because it's ego to snag him.
And I mean, we used to catch them on jigs, you know, throwing a jig, and they would actually be biting it. But if they're just sitting there with a jig head and trying to,
yeah, what they're doing is that they get on top of the school and they just jerk up, and hit one of them. I mean, I fished it with jigs, but with the shrimp
right
at the end of the jig. Yeah,
we've done the gulp shrimp before on them, and back then we didn't have the Papa Smurf shrimp yet.
So I mean, FWC, if you're listening to this, go check it out. Maybe you can get that guy with the aluminum boat catching these things.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah,
I wouldn't doubt it.
This is crazy stuff. Okay, George, here we go. I did get some stuff, and we'll do a little bit at a time. Tag Redfish Division. The first winner. The contender, 22-foot, with a 250 Yamaha and a trailer, was by Blake Blitz. He's out of St. Augustine.
Congratulations, man. Congratulations. Can't beat that.
There's no winner, no second, no third winner for the Alta Equipment Company Superstar, and then there's no Tigris Outriggers and Gear Tag Dolphin, but there's nobody's caught the other another tag redfish. I got some more, but we'll come down the prize little by little. I don't want to do it all at one time. Right. But, you know, does it feel like it's a little slow?
I don't know. I mean, you got to think about, you know, it's the odds of getting one, too, is kind of hard sometimes, you know, catching that right. There
was an article I read somewhere about Louisiana. They were doing a redfish tournament. And in that tournament, it wasn't it was a CCA. It wasn't a CCA tournament. But it's funny that in that redfish tournament in Louisiana, there was 5 tagged redfish caught, and all 5, nobody was entered.
Oh, that hurts. Ah, that hurts.
Isn't that something?
Um,
Nobody of the 5 was entered.
that stinks. Hey, I wanted to just go over real quick. I did a seminar for Salt Strong just recently, and it was on catching the slam. So I wanted to show, they have their lures that like to use. Well, we like to use our Bass Saltwater Assassin. So I wanted to kind of show 3 different lures that are great for maybe getting you that slam
There you go.
in the Saltwater Assassin colors. So this is Chicken on a Chain. If you can see the glitter that's in it,
I love that little tail.
two-tone. And then the other one I like is Opening Night with the chartreuse tail, or they call it lime truce. But this right here, that's your trout getter. I mean, it'll catch a lot of different stuff. Don't get me wrong, but it's a trout killer right there. And
I wonder what makes it a trout killer, because it does work. I really,
well, you got the way this thing's designed, plus the movement of it. I'm using a 1/4 ounce jig head. So when this thing goes down and it hits bottom, that tail is doing this.
see that.
And you get
Looks
a
like
nice
worm maybe coming out of the ground.
Yeah, and trust me, a lot of fish people don't realize there's saltwater worms and stuff that fish like to eat, but it just gives you a nice little good movement. Or if it does go down into some grass to where just the tip of it's hanging out and moving, it could look like the tail of a pinfish or something. So now that's the one for that. Now I got this the SW shad, this is a crystal shad.
That's a nice one too.
And this one, you catch a lot of fish with it, but if you want to go after some snook on a lure, these type of colors in that white clear with the silver glitter fleck, and you got a nice loose tail. So with this, you can either use like an owner twist lock, a weighted hook, or you can use a 1/4 ounce jig head or 1/8 ounce jig head, depending on how deep you're fishing. But what you want to do is you actually want to move this pretty quickly through the water, and you'll get reaction strikes from the snook. So don't worry about going real slow with this. Make it look like a fleeing bait, and that'll get the reaction strike from your snook. So basically, these type of colors work really well on snook. Your white, your clear. Some of them this has like a clearish body with a more white on the bottom. And it just does. It tracks them really good.
Now, Teresa told me that we'll see it in a couple of days. They got about 5 new colors.
Oh, I can't wait.
They're going to show it. Yeah, so I'm dying to see what it is. They're going to be showing it over at the at ICAST.
Right. So now another shad. Now this one, redfish love gold fleck. Gold fleck definitely gets redfish, and this is just if you kind of look at this, it really mimics almost like a pinfish color, and this works really good. And you could even rig this, especially sometimes the redfish are under the mangroves and/or in some shallow grass shell area. You can rig this with just a worm hook with no weight, twist lock with no weight. When the hook comes through, pull this soft plastic forward, lift it up, and put the point of the hook, just the point underneath, and that'll make it weedless. And then you can really work this slow along the bottom, and those redfish, a lot of times, even if you crawl it like a shrimp sometimes, and I like doing different presentations for the redfish, because sometimes they're going after bait fish that are moving, so you got to work that lure a little bit. Other times, if they're keyed in on shrimp, you can crawl it along the bottom and get it hit that way. But when you rig this weedless, you can skip this underneath the mangroves with no problem. It'll go right under. And right now we're finding a lot of redfish tucked underneath the mangroves just because of the heat.
And it's funny. I don't know if I got. Trying to see yeah. Let me show you. Let me go get this one, man. I got to show you one that when we're up in Crystal River,
Right.
it was a big redfish killer.
So now another one is this. This is called a sea shad. And you can put a 1/4 ounce jig head on that. And what that weight allows you to do is you can reel it decently fast, because the tail, when you have a tail like this on a sea shad, that tail acts like a wing. So the faster you reel it, the more it wants to raise it up. So if you want to keep it down in the water column, you throw a 1/4 ounce jig head on it, and that'll keep it down. But then you can also work it up and down along the bottom. So you can swim it or jig it.
You see this one right here? It's a 6-inch shad paddle
Right.
tail. This thing, the redfish were going crazy over it. The big rids up in Crystal River. I mean, they just love something that big. And I've heard a lot of the captains in the tournament sometimes, they said, they love to use these big white ones. And it's almost like not white, it's white, but
It's like a pearl.
it's like a pearl color. Yeah, they call it Asmus Shad Glow. So it
Yeah,
does,
show the pack.
yeah. I mean, right there. Look,
There you go.
you see that? Yeah. I mean, and it's a 6-inch.
Yeah, it's the Artemis.
It looks
Yeah.
like a big one, but let me tell you, it works. That's
You
all I
gotta,
can tell you.
yeah, and you gotta remember too, a lot of times when these guys are in tournaments, they're looking for the biggest reds they can get, top of the slot. So they're throwing bigger lures to try and get the bigger
Yeah,
fish.
smaller ones
If-
are
if-
helpful.
Right. If you want more hits, then go to like a 4-inch. That'll give you you might get some big ones and you might get some small ones. But if you're looking for just big fish, including snook, you throw big lures, and normally that's the only thing that's going to hit it. But 2 weeks ago, I had a rambunctious trout come up and hit a 6-inch threadfin.
Kids, that's something.
We didn't hook it because it was just holding it in his mouth, and we got about 8 feet away from the boat, and it finally, spit it, but it was never hooked. It was just,
Show you that they will hit a big bait.
oh yeah.
Well, George,
But,
let's do this. You pick
let's do-
somebody.
I was gonna say let's run Scotty's.
All right, let's do Scotty's.
Hello everybody, this is Captain Scotty Rose, Charlotte Harbor. All kinds of good action out there this last week. I'll tell you one of the funnest fish that can be tricky but really fun to catch. Been getting this week is a lot of big mangrove snapper up to 12, 14 inches. And for in Charlotte Harbor, that's a lot of fun. I definitely cleaned a lot of those this last week. Having fun, the snook bite's still going on good. Starting to see some of those big ones show back up in the Peace River. Good stuff there. Definite uptick in redfish. Fishing those up in the mangroves on the higher tides. Definitely nice to see, for sure. I had one day I caught 15, another day I caught 10, and then some days I just don't see them. But definitely some definite improvements on that redfish population out there in Charlotte Harbor. Lots of little 10, 15, 20 pound juvenile tarpon running around. Not just catching them in the canals, I'm catching them up on the flats in 2-3 foot of water, and that is so much fun, especially because when you catch them in that shallow water, they just go crazy and jump everywhere. Good stuff going on there. And other fish that we see this time of year that I've been catching and having fun with is those big black drum in that 20, 30, 40, 50 pound range. What fun. We have a few around all year, but we usually only get those big ones July, August, September. What fun catching those on dead, nasty frozen shrimp. And you want to, stretch your string. It is definitely, listen to your drag scream. It is so much fun. I'm fishing those on my little white rods too, so that even makes it more fun. Few Spanish mackerel running around. Not super big schools of them, but we're seeing one or two here or there. Trout bite is still strong. Some beautiful trout I run into this week. 3-4 foot of water on them grass flats. Guys, that's my report for this week. I got days available for next month and the rest of the month. It's hot out there, I know, but the fish are biting. So come on down here to Charlotte Harbor and let's go fishing.
Oh, Brandon. Let's get him.
Nice report. And I tell you, seeing that juvenile tarpon, we're actually, at least in my neighborhood of the water, we're starting to see the juvies come into some of the canals and stuff. So that's always exciting with the possibility.
No, anything like 15 to 30, 35, 40 pounds. They are so much fun to
Yeah, they are. Now I'm looking at our list. We might have to run a few here in a row.
Let's do it. Pick another one.
Let's go ahead and put Pam's up there. She's got a little.
All right, let's see what Pam's got.
Not
I fell asleep again.
again.
Uh-oh. Pam, Pam.
Pam?
It feels good to get back on saltwater. Got a cute little red here. Be an entry for CCA. Out here with Barb. There's Barb. Finally caught a decent fish today. Nice little snooky. Yay. Hey, good evening. This is Pam from Tampa Fishing Outfitters, and I want to thank you all for all the support you all gave me when I was at Hobie World up in Canada. All the emails, the texts, the messages, that was awesome, and I really, really appreciated it. But we're back in saltwater, and it's hot out there. Not only is it hot, a lot of the areas, if they're scalloping, have grass all over the place. So topwater is almost non-existent. So let's talk about what we did in the salty weather. Some people will tell you to go small in the hot weather. No, I like a nice target where the fish is going to say, if I'm going to expel any energy, I want to hit it and have a good meal. So I like this. This is a Gambler in Copperfield, and I have it on an owner's twist lock hook. Totally weedless. Yes, it's big, but you're going to take it really slow. Very, very slow. And the nice thing about this is this lure is pretty buoyant. So it's going to just bounce off the bottom and swim for you great. That's how I caught my reds and my snook over the weekend. If you want a little smaller profile, I like this one. This is the Arkansas Glow by Slayer, and it's the XL. So it's not the smallest offering, it's the middle size offering. Again, I'm going to do that weedless. And look at that nice motion. Both of these lures are great for water that's got a lot of grass in it, or if you're going really, really shallow.
I guess we lost it.
Yep. Well, and the thing is, like she was showing you with that, which is very similar to this,
Right.
is that paddle tail, some people don't know or don't realize, it acts like a wing. So as it's going through the water, it's actually keeping your bait up off the bottom.
And
you
it's
gotta
putting a little bit of vibration out.
oh yeah, I mean you can see how loose that tail is. So I mean, when you're swimming that through the water, it's definitely. And then if you have something like that where it's a two-tone and bright color, that really stands out.
And to me, this time of the year, and you know, the water, it's amazing. It's well, last week, and
Yeah, it depends.
we had a lot of
Yeah.
rain. It was only like in the morning was 87 point something. It never got to one day. I think towards the end of the week, it got up to about 89. But I never had any 90-degree water at all last week.
No. I went out Monday. I don't even think Monday hit 90. The week before we hit 90.
Oh yeah, but I think all that rain kind of cooled it down.
Yeah. Well, why don't you pick somebody?
All right, let's get Michael Haynes out of Crystal River.
All right.
Good evening, Captain Mike Haynes here, Fishbones Charters out of Crystal River, Florida. This week hasn't really changed from last week. Still kind of warm out there. We have gotten a few thunder showers that have kind of cooled things off a little bit here and there. Yesterday, pretty much cloud all day, so it was kind of pleasant being out there. Didn't burn up, so we could stay a little extra. Redfish are still doing what they're doing, kind of in some small schools around some hard bottoms. Did find a nice big school up underneath the mangrove, so still got to kind of play with it. Check out on the hard bottoms along the points, and then every once in a while just check the mangroves, see if they're hiding underneath there. Did see and didn't get hooked up, but we did find some massive snook underneath. A lot of grass out there right now. I mean, there's a ton of grass. It's even hard to throw artificial. But some of those grass mats are getting caught on the mangroves, and it's creating a lot of shade. And you would be surprised how many fish are underneath those big grass mats. So if you do see some grass mats against the mangroves, fish them. Because it creates a nice shade environment for them. And found some nice snook underneath some of those mats. Unfortunately, they still didn't want to eat. It was really, really low tide, not a lot of water. So as soon as you splashed a bait near it, they kind of took off. So we did see them, did find them, just didn't hook up on them. The rocks out about 3 to 5 miles out, at least 7 to 10 feet, if not more, have started to be still productive. Still getting mangroves off them, a few cobia, some small ones. They're They seem to be the better deal right now just because it's a little offshore, a little cooler water. It seems to be the better ticket, a little more fish being active out there. Grouper bite's still there, just a little deeper again, but we can't keep them yet. Got about 15 days this year, which is horrible for us charter captains. Only 15 days to get them done. Not everybody can get their grouper this year. Scalloping still very good. Heard mixed reports back and forth. I've been out there myself, snorkeled myself, and I have found them in 3 foot of water. I found them in 10 foot of water. So the thing is you see a bunch of boats, just don't go toward the boats. Try to find your own little niche, because usually where all the boats are, the place has been picked over. So kind of spread out a little bit. Find your own little niche and try to figure out where these scallops are for that day, because they will change. They will change on time. So give that a shot, because we got scalloping running until the 24th of September. Still got a long season ahead of us. Still a hot season ahead of us. So go out in the morning, do a little fishing, have a little fun, and then get out there and swim in the water a little bit and get some scallops. Nice fish and scallops for dinner is a great combination. Captain Mike Haynes, Fishbones Charters out of Crystal River, Florida.
All right, we got it.
All right. Nice
Thanks,
report. Yep.
Yeah, and you know, everybody got out, I guess, last week finally.
Yeah.
And, the only day that was, that one day. Yeah, man, we had a lot of rain. God,
Yeah.
not hit. You
Yeah.
text me that morning. You okay?
Yeah.
I mean, we were only fishing about 30, 40 minutes, and it came down.
Yeah. It was pretty bad.
Thank God for the T-top and some foul weather gear.
No, I hear you. And don't forget about the bridges. If that happens to you, run under a bridge.
That's the best place. Yeah, get out of there, especially if there's lightning. If you can't get to shore, get under a bridge.
I did that 2 weeks ago. I had a storm pop up and seen it coming, and I was like, well, let's go. And yelled over to another captain. I said, look at your radar. Just gave him the warning, but he didn't heed the warning, unfortunately. So we got to a bridge, and what's nice is I just barely fit under this bridge, so you feel very protected. There's not a lot of air.
It comes in at an angle.
Yeah, so you feel really protected. It was good. We actually fished under the bridge, so that was nice. We were still fishing. And then when it lightened up, there was a second storm coming, so we had to run to get to the boat ramp real quick. As we were leaving, the other captain that came in, his clients were stoked, and they did not look happy. And I was like, yep, should have ran to the bridge.
You got to. All right, here we go. We got the Spotted Trout Division from the CCA.
Oh, yeah.
The first prize drawing, they called it. Okay.
Okay.
It was a custom Ginu LT10 with 15 horsepower Yamaha and the little trailer. And that was won by William Kearney Jr. out of Delray Beach.
That's a nice little prize right there.
Oh, you better believe it, because those things aren't cheap.
No, not at all.
So I think that was pretty good.
Yeah, and you got the Yamaha on the back too,
Man. Now, and we got another one that we'll talk about a little later, but but these are all where they're not tagged. These are just, I guess, you bring in something.
Right. You take the picture on the board, you send it in.
Yeah.
When I took Donald out with his grandson was entered into the Star Tournament, and so he got to send a slam in, and then different pictures of trout, and then actually every one that you catch you can send in, because there's different things you can get. So that was pretty good. Sky says no snagging in my world, but I see how you could do it. The drum, I hope they nail them. Yeah, I hope they do, because
I'll go too.
What's the sport in that? I
That's,
mean,
that's not right. So, all right, let's do this. Let's get Michael Dawson.
okay. Yeah, because we're tight.
Yeah, we're tight today.
Hi guys, Captain Michael Dawson here, Patriot Guide Service, here with this week's fishing report. So out of the Anclote area, the main talk of the town right now is going to be scallop season. Scallop season opened last Wednesday, and it is showing to be one of the best scallop seasons we've ever had out here. They seem to be everywhere in 2 to 4 feet of water. South of the river and north of the river, the Anclote River, just on the outsides of the boundary there, have been looking very, very good. As well as the channels between the Gulf Harbors channels off of the north end of Green Key. Really, any flat is loaded with them. When you're out here, make sure you have your die flag, 20 by 24 inches, flown at the highest point of your boat, and make sure people stay within 300 feet of the boat. I always tell my clients to stay within 100 feet of the boat, just for safety reasons, and be away from all the other boats, channels, all that fun stuff that's going to make you unsafe out here. If you feel tired or dehydrated, make sure you get out of the water. If you feel like you're getting cramps, get out of the water. Remember, safety is always first. You can always take a break and get back in after you get some of your energy back. It's 2 gallons per person, max of 10 per vessel. Get out there, get some of these tasty snacks. If you guys are looking for a way to clean your scalps and not do it, the Get Bent Bait Boat here in Tarpon Springs, it cleans all your scalps for you at $8 a gallon, so it's a great little tool to use. But if you want to sit down with a shop vac, it doesn't take too long. It's great and easy fun with the family. So get out here, have some fun, get some scallops. Captain Michael Dawson, Patriotic Guide Service.
That was good. He
Yeah.
did good, man.
Oh yeah,
Glad to hear that. The scallops are back so strong, George.
yeah. Actually, I made a comment on one of his posts. I said, because they limited out real quick, and I said, now what?
Yeah. But what do you do now?
Go swimming, I
Back in
guess.
the water and start all over again.
Now I wonder if, just insurance purpose wise, if he's running different insurance that you can buy, because it used to be when you got out of the boat, that was it.
If you have chartered lakes, you got to read the small print.
Right.
You have to have an addendum to your policy, and it costs you like another $150 or something like that,
Right.
to let people out of your boat to do something like this. If they're in your boat, they're covered.
Right.
If like you take them to the beach and say, hey, let's fish from the shore,
Wade fishing or whatever.
Wade fishing, they step on a stingray or get cut, they're not going to be covered.
Right.
So that's one of the things you got to be careful. If you're a charter captain, if you're on your own, you still got to be careful because you don't want nobody ever getting hurt.
Right. But I just know because like I had to, do things with my insurance to cover different things, and one of the things was if they get out of your boat to go wade fishing, they're not covered.
You can buy an addendum. I know through Charter Lakes.
Right.
I don't know. It used to be $100 or whatever it is. That say, okay, you can let a customer go out and swim a little bit if he wants or wade fish.
Right. Because you got a lot of guides right now that are doing sandbar trips also, to where they're just not even fishing, just taking people out to the sandbar for 4 hours to have a good time. And the scary part is now you're dealing with people that are drinking out on a sandbar. That's kind of scary,
There's stupid people. All right, let's see.
Well, you want to run Tony's?
Yeah, let's get Tony. Good choice.
Hi, Captain Tony Franklin back with you with this week's fishing report. Well, we've had a lot of stuff that's basically stayed the same. A few things have changed. Still got hot weather. Still the trout has been the dominant bite again this week. Once again, 6 to 8 feet of water on deeper grass flats. Still plenty of mangrove snapper around the range markers. They're at some of the local bridges eating the real small white bait. There's been some snook around, but they're pretty sluggish. Look for them in deeper water around structure, broken rubble, spoil islands, those type of things. That is where they go a little deeper, and that's where they tend to be during the summer. Redfish are on the high tide, like they've been the last month, buried up under the mangrove, so you cast it got to be way up under there. Been a lot of action for bonnethead sharks this week. Been a few black tips, catching silver trout also. Spanish mackerel bite has been outstanding on the deep grass flats around the range markers. So there's a little bit of everything going on. The key is to get out there early, beat the rain, get out there and catch your fish. Start early. We're using 30-pound fluorocarbon leader, number 1 hook, and the smaller the bait, the better. This time of year, they're honed in on the smaller baits, so basically what match the hatch type situation. So don't worry about the bait being smaller. Lighten up on your leader line, lighten up on your hook. Just free line it. I found the best. Free line is the way to go. The cork doesn't get in the way. So that's my report for this week at Tight Lines, and I'll definitely see you next week.
Thank you, Tony.
Thanks for the report. Definitely good. And it just depends on where you're fishing and what structure you're fishing. Where he's fishing right now, he's depending on that trout bite, which has been pretty good. And as well as the trout bite has definitely got back a lot better.
Oh, it's been like day and night from the last 2 years.
Yeah. And then if you're fishing rock piles, bridge pylons, docks, the mangrove snapper bite has finally kicked in up in the bay pretty good. You know, consistent. I mean, it's been good down by the Skyway in Port Manatee for months, but it took a while to get up by us.
Well, let's see. Let's get your report in.
All right.
Hey guys, this is Captain George Hastig of Fish Hunter Fishing Charters coming to you from downtown St. Petersburg. Well, bait's really good, especially if you're looking to go snapper fishing right now. There is a ton of that 2.5 to 3 inch white bait on the flats right now. Just beautiful baits if you want to snapper fish, macro fish. If you keep chumming, you'll get some mixed in ones that'll be a little bit better size for your snook and stuff of that nature. So it's a good mix. Also, there's some pinfish. Those small pinfish or snapper caviar. You fishing rock jetties or stuff of that nature, those small pinfish will get mangrove snapper and snook. You know, so don't count those little small pinfish out. And also, throw them under the trees. The redfish love them also. The white bait is predominantly what I've been using, but I've also was throwing the Miradine in the skin series. That is the scaled sardine, and that thing casts a mile. So sometimes when I'm spraying these little baits out and I see a blow up that happens real far away with that bait, I was just throwing the XL today, but even the regular size one is good. They cast a mile, so you can see a blow up and get that bait cast past where you see the blow up, and then work it quickly with a quick little jerk retrieve like that, going through the water, and let it come through quickly. And a lot of times you'll get that hit. The redfish right now, like I said, even though it's hot enough to where they should be eating cut bait, and they will, but I'm getting more on the live bait right now than anything else. So, you know, if you want to do both, throw a couple rods and rod holder with some cut bait on there. We are picking up catfish right now, so that's kind of the downfall of the cut bait versus the live bait. But sometimes you'll get your bigger red or bigger snook on a cut bait. Cut ladyfish also is good. Cut threadfin is another one that's really good. So don't be afraid to try all three of those. Gold spoon is a good thing to throw around right now also. Redfish love it. If you work it fast with a fast retrieve, a snook will hit that also. Out in the deeper water, 5 to 7 feet of water, grass flat edges where the grass still is alive but drops down deeper. A lot of trout are hanging out in that type of area, and I'm throwing a saltwater assassin, a little PNV, chicken on a chain is what I've been throwing this week. It's been working pretty good with a 1/4 ounce jig head. Let it go down to the bottom, do a 2 hop, let it sink, 2 hop, let it sink. Make sure it's getting down to the bottom, and you usually get the strike as that lure is sinking. So when you see that line jump, set the hook right then and there. If you miss it, let it sink down again, and then just twitch it slightly, and it should come back and grab you. Most of the time they will. All right, this has been Captain George Hasek. Have a good day.
All right, George. That was good.
All right. Thank you, man.
And I tell you what, let's get I got one more here to go, and then we'll do my some of my pictures. This was the snook division. Okay.
All right.
Prize drawing, 16-foot boat, doesn't say what kind, with a 15-horse Yamaha, a Road King trailer, and Florida Marine Tracks, South Florida. And that was won by Kyle Plain from North Fort Myers. Congratulations.
Yep. Good job, man. Good job. Can't beat that prize. I'm telling you, that's some nice prizes.
So we got some more, but we'll save them for next week. Keep people
All right.
thinking. All right, let's put my
I
picture
was gonna say, let's get your pictures up there.
I finally got some in.
Mhm.
Here we go. If we have to, because I mean, I don't want to just kill them. If they're going to eat them, that's fine. A lot of people tell you, well, yeah, I want to keep some, and they don't. But these guys are just as happy as can be. You know, we're catching 2 trout at a time. It's like you say. I mean, speckled trout was just going nuts.
On fire, yeah.
I mean, they're going crazy. The mackerel were nice size, really nice size mackerel. this one guy, oh man, he was that was a nice trout that he caught. You know, he was happy that there's a small cobia that we got, and it's been like this. There's another mackerel. This guy was just all pumped up, man. That's one of my other clients. He had another big mackerel. It was like this. And that one redfish, believe it or not, like you were talking, I just cut a pinfish up and put it with a sinker, just dead sticking them and threw them out there while we were fishing for the other stuff.
Right.
And that redfish picked it up. It wasn't a big redfish, but he ate it. And then we got some big jacks, you know.
Well, and that's definitely what's going to happen now, especially when we come into August. The cut bait's probably going to take over for redfish.
And you can see a lot of trout. I mean, a lot of speckled trout,
Yeah.
which is so good because the last 2 or 3 years, you would go out there and get a few, and there were little tiny things, 10 inches, and all of these were all nice sized trout, most of them, and was one right after the other.
Pretty much anymore with the trout, you're leaving them biting to go do something else.
Yeah, because I mean, you know, the trouble with trout is they like to swallow the hooks,
Yeah.
and you know, once you caught some, a lot of times they gill themselves and they'll kill themselves, and you got to let them go.
Yeah. And you know, it's hard because if you get clients that aren't used to fishing and they don't set the hook as soon as they feel that little thump, it's a deep hook fish.
And we've been getting a lot of silver trout, which is rare this time of the year.
Yeah.
It is. Usually it's in the fall.
Yeah. And I've been getting the silver trout myself because we've been talking about that, and they're big. They're 13 to 15 inches
And like I said,
for silver.
the snook, we're not really going after snook, but sometimes just to break it up. Hey, we caught enough trout. We had a whole bunch of mackerel. Let's go for the snook for a while, just to break it up a little.
Yeah.
I can't complain, you know.
No, and that's the same way with me. On my last trip, it was a family looking for a fish fry. So it was like, they want fish fry. We're going to go rock pile fishing for mangrove snapper.
There you go.
And then when they got enough for the amount of people they had, they didn't want to keep any more. They didn't want to freeze anything. They just said, no, we got enough for the fish fry. And then we went to the flats and caught some snook and some Jack Crevalles and stuff like that and called it a day. So it's nice when the clients are easy going with that type of thing.
Yeah, I hate the one that when you pick up the phone, he says,
I want to fill a cooler.
yeah, I want to fill the cooler up because
Yeah.
I got a bunch in the freezer I got to throw away because it's been in there too long. Yeah, come on.
Yeah. Well, I had a guy call me up last year and he said, well, I've got a 100-quart cooler that I want to bring. And I said, well, you need to call somebody out of O'Neill's that goes offshore. I said, because I'm not doing that to my inshore fish.
No. I mean, you know, how many fish can you eat? And I know that they're paying for the trip.
Right.
You know, you'll have some that I had one guy actually tell me, he says, well, I use it for fertilizer. I said, why? Yeah, you know, you bury the fish and it's good fertilizer. Yeah. You're going to
Okay.
kill a trout for fertilizer? Buy
Yeah,
it.
right.
Man.
Go buy some fertilizer.
Don't be killing the crazy breed. That's
Well,
good.
I get mad at the dolphins when I see them eating snook and redfish. I'm like, go eat some mullet. Leave the game fish alone, would you?
Now, that's the other thing, George. You know, every time I go south, when we go down I go to Rolando's, I go to Pine Island, Boca Grande, all through there, I find fingerling mullets all over the place.
Yeah.
I don't see any up here. Where are they? You tell me, because I can't find them.
No, I've spotted some way back in Weeden Island and also along like in St. Pete over by Bay Pines. There's like a little canal that runs along the road right there. But I'm not seeing them all over the place like we used to. It's only select limited places. And I've seen them at Weeden Island, but like in 30 trips, I've seen them twice. You know what I mean?
I mean, I go to Pine Island and go around Boca Grande. Everywhere you pull up, all these little fingerling mullets all over.
Yeah.
And they're such
Well,
great baits for snook.
Well, they got to be somewhere because big ones can't be just showing up out of nowhere.
But somewhere in our area, you know, they're not doing it. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too that we're seeing really good now, again, is all the threadfin herring everywhere. They're along the flats, right at the drop offs, like where the flat goes from 3 to 5 foot deep. In that 5-6 foot of water right there, you'll see threadfins run up and down the edge of the drop offs, and that is also a good spot when you have that to look for cobia right in that area, and or put some baits out, catch some of those thread fins, use the wide tangle, cast them, snag them, whatever, and put some big baits under a cork and throw it out along that drop off edge and forget about them. Then go fish for your trout with your jigs or whatever you want to do. And then all of a sudden you'll hear that drag screaming, and it's usually a shark, cobia, or something pretty good.
I mean, you know, when you, especially like when I'm using dead bait on the bottom this time, there is a bycast. It's going to be
Oh, yeah.
stingray. It's going to be some catfish,
Oh yeah.
some trash fish. But you know what? If at the end of the day you got that one big snook or
It was
that
worth it.
one big redfish, it was worth catching 3
Yep.
or 4 catfish or whatever. Now,
And-
catching them on a bait net, that's a
yeah, I told you I got 3 the other day in the net. That kind of stunk. And then my last throw on the next trip, I took 3 throws, and I probably didn't need to do the 3rd throw. I did. I got bait happy. I threw, and of course there was one catfish, and I got lucky. It actually shook out of the net. I didn't have to do anything. It actually shook out of the net. I was so happy. Because at first I was like, I knew I shouldn't have threw that last time.
Oh, hey, that happens. But no, you know, I've been lucky all last week. Not one catfish, not one.
Yeah.
Of course, when there's that much bait and you only throw the net twice a day,
Yeah.
oh, that's a
It's
blessing.
great. Yeah, it's great.
It's the days that you have to throw 10, 15, 20 times.
That and a little earlier too, when it's still a little dark out, you seem to get more catfish too.
But right around daybreak, I mean, or the sun coming up, some light on the water there, the bait's been showing up.
Oh yeah, like crazy. And they're dimpling. I mean, you're seeing them, they're thick. And I
Well,
went to a different area. I went south the next day after me and you caught bait together, just to see. And now there's some showing back up south, so hopefully I won't have to be traveling so far.
there you go. There you go. Yeah, because you're having to come up to
Yeah.
catch the bait. Well, for me, it's not bad. And I guess one of our bait guys, he's having boat problems.
Yeah, unfortunate. He
He'll be out
his
for a
boat.
while.
Yeah, I haven't talked to him. I called him. He didn't return my phone call. He might be just disgusted with the whole situation. But his what do you call it? Bottom of his hull, maybe 1/3 back, started to delaminate, and he was taking on water. So once the water started getting in there, it started delaminating a whole bunch of it.
Well,
So,
you know, he's got what, a 500-gallon tank in that boat?
I think he's got the 200 up front, and then he's got 2 big ones in the back. I mean, he's got a lot of weight.
That's a lot of weight, man. And you
And-
hit those waves sometimes. That's a lot of pounding.
And he's reinforced everything in that boat, but if something lets loose, and the problem is, you're going forward, you can't see it. When it first started to let loose, all that water is being pushed in there. Well, now it's acting like a separator, with all that pressure. So I don't know how bad it is. Like I said, he didn't call me back, and he might just be disgusted and not want to talk about it. So I didn't want
It
to
does
push it.
make a difference, I will say, when you catch your own bait, because it's so much livelier and spunky.
Yeah.
For the average person, and for me, when it gets hard to get, I'll pay for it because it's
Well,
easy.
what's nice is Blacked Out Baits, which is the name of his company, and it's Dustin. He has the freshest bait usually. He will go out, he'll get fresh bait, and his pens are really big. He out of the caught bait, he's probably got some of the freshest. And then the guy Alex down by the Skyway, he's got some really good bait down there also. But I feel bad because Dustin's really trying his butt off, and he's a good guy. I hate to see the bad luck cloud follow him at the moment, but
Remember, we had the other guy last year that was trying to make it. I can't think of his name. The one that used to come in the pickup truck.
he was buddies with Dustin because Dustin used to do the pickup truck.
Yeah.
And then the other guy, I can't remember his name either. Something about money was his business, something money, or
He couldn't make it. It cost him too much money.
it's a
And
lot
he
of gas.
Oh, one day I said, man, you got almost a real pretty truck. And you could see that salt water just splashing, and it had no liner on it, no nothing.
Yeah.
But oh
yeah.
man, within 2 or 3 years, that truck bed is gone.
Well, we are past time now.
Yeah. Thank you for everybody. And by the way, everybody, George, I know is going to say it. I'm going to say it. Thank you for supporting our channel, Fishing
Yes.
Adventures Florida. We're growing like crazy. We're at 23,000 something. Yeah, we're gonna break 20. we'll hit 24,000, I think, in the next week or so, subscribers. And we're over 54,000 views already. So thank you very much. You can see every week the shows keep growing, and it's all thanks to our viewers.
Yeah, we appreciate it. We appreciate it. That's for sure.
So thank you very much. And George, take care.
Everybody, have a good night.
I'll see you Wednesday morning.
All right.
Bye.
I cast bound. We are.
All right. Bye-bye.